At 20, Alex was not a failure. He was intelligent, held a computer science degree from a local community college, and had a library of business ideas packed into his head. Alex's problem was that he was paralyzed by a modern ailment: perfect procrastination. Alex's life unfolded within the four walls of his rented room in Cincinnati. His ambition was to create a breakthrough app, something that could change the way people connect. But instead of typing the first line of code, he was stuck researching the most optimal programming language, watching countless videos on 10 steps to success for American billionaires, and scrolling social media. He told himself, "I have to wait until I know everything, until the plan is perfect, before I can start." The stark reality was, he had been waiting for 2 years. Light from fear, the turning point came on a cold evening. He received an email notification that his former classmate, Marcus, whom Alex had always considered less intelligent than himself, had just raised a small seed investment for his startup idea. It wasn't that Marcus's app was perfect, it was that he had done it. Alex looked out the window, the city of Cincinnati twinkling like a distant reminder of the real world. He felt a surge of anger, not at Marcus, but at himself. He realized his affliction wasn't a lack of knowledge, but a lack of action. A few weeks later, Alex visited his former mentor, Professor Miller, a man with sharp eyes and a warm, deep voice, who had taught him about the American hustle culture. "Alex," Professor Miller said, after Alex meticulously detailed his perfect startup plan, "your plan is brilliant. But do you know what? In Silicon Valley, they don't give prizes for the best plan. They give prizes to the person who starts the earliest." "But what if I fail?" Professor Alex asked. Professor Miller smiled. "You've already failed, Alex. You fail every day you don't start. At least, if you start and fail, you'll have data, not regret. Don't seek perfection. Seek the imperfect start. Start messy." That phrase woke Alex up. He returned to his room. He taped a note with the words "Start Messy" onto his computer screen. Instead of spending months building a complex application architecture, he spent one evening building the simplest possible version of the APO single web page with only one basic function. It was crude, the colors were off, and it was full of minor bugs. But it worked. From then on, Alex applied the Start Messy philosophy to every aspect of his life. Health. He didn't wait to join a high-end gym. He started running around his neighborhood every early morning, even when it was dark and cold. Skills. He didn't wait for the perfect online course. He learned what was necessary for his current project, accepting that he would have to relearn and fix things later. Relationships. He overcame his fear and attended a small local developer meet, even though his voice trembled when introducing himself. After 6 months of hard work and continuous iteration, Alex launched his first application. It didn't explode. It only attracted 50 users. He didn't make money, but he gained momentum and real-world experience. The lesson of the safety net. A year later, Alex, now 21, received a job offer at a small startup in Silicon Valley, California. It was the American dream realized, but it didn't come from one grand victory, but from 300 small code fixes, 1,000 black coffees, and dozens of sleepless nights. He stood in his new office in Palo Alto, looking out at the green hills and feeling the breath of innovation. He realized a profound truth. We, the young generation, are often afraid of burning our safety net. We hold tightly to stable jobs, stable plans, stable relationships, because we fear uncertainty. But I learned one thing. The safety net is not something you sit on. The safety net is something you weave with persistence and experience every day. Every time you start a project, even if it fails, you are adding a strong thread to your safety net. It won't prevent you from falling, but it will help you get back up faster. The message of the 22-year-old 2 years later. Alex, 22 years old, stood on stage at a youth conference in Los Angeles. He wasn't a billionaire, but he was the owner of a growing startup. He looked out at the hundreds of young faces, filled with anxiety and ambition. "I stand here today not to tell you that everything will be easy," Alex said, his voice filled with passion. "I stand here to tell you that the perfect time doesn't exist. Age 20 is when you have the most valuable asset, time and energy to make mistakes. In America, or anywhere in this world, opportunities are endless, but they only come to those who are ready to act. Don't waste that asset waiting for perfect permission or the perfect mood. I used to be a procrastination expert, a non-starter. But when I learned to embrace the misaccepting, that my first app looked like a joke. Accepting my trembling voice in the first meeting, the world began to open up. My message to you young people is, fear is not a stop sign. It's just a suggestion, a small voice in your head. Listen to it, and then gently ignore it. Step away from the screen. Step away from the endless plans, and start. Alex paused, looking straight at the audience. Make your next year a year of action, not thought. Choose the action, no matter how small, how imperfect. Because success is not a destination. It is the summation of the messy starts you dared to make. Thank you. Thank you.